Hey everyone, it's Mark. This is my recap for Pokémon Horizons episode 102, The Knight Met at the Ruins. This was the 1334th episode of the Pokemon anime, and we got a pretty surprising capture in this episode. Let's talk about it. So we pick things up right where the last one left off, with Penny challenging Dot to a battle. It's the same rules as Roy and Nemona's match, a 2v2 double battle where the first knockout decides the winner. Things start off alright as Quaxwell finds an opening to hit Sylveon with Liquidation almost straight off the bat. This causes a strange reaction from Quaxwell though, and judging by the knowing look on Penny's face, this must have been part of her plan. She now starts to focus her efforts on Tinkaton, and when Dot tries to command Quaxwell, he doesn't listen. He's too busy messing with his hair. This is because Sylveon's ability is Cute Charm, which has a chance to leave a Pokemon of the opposite gender infatuated with Sylveon if they make contact with it. I love the naming conventions around this because the English term infatuation sounds pretty official, while the subs in this episode use terms like lovey-dovey, and even on Bulbapedia they translate the term as mad love. Enough about that though, because Dot just has Tinkaton whack Quaxwell over the head with her hammer, and that somehow snaps him out of his, lovey-dovey status. Surprisingly, Dot thinks this is the right time to terastallize, and now there's Terra Water Quaxwell to deal with. Penny figures she may as well whip out her own Terra Orb, deciding to terastallize her Sylveon into a Terra Fairy type, just like she does in the games. There's a decent amount of back and forth here after the terastallization, as Dot has Quaxwell fling Tinkaton into the air while he eats a Terra boosted Moonblast right in the face. Tinkaton is ready to lay the smackdown though, but all it does is use Slam on the ground. This, I don't know, mildly inconveniences Penny's Pokemon, I guess, which allows Quaxwell to come in hot with a Terra boosted Liquidation, and for some reason they target Sylveon here. This leaves Quaxwell wide open for a close range Swift from Flareon, and yeah, this whole sequence just felt so weird to me. That definitely deserved to lose as Quaxwell gets KO'd at this point, ending the battle. Penny is declared the winner, and I just didn't really like this battle. More on that later, but for now, the Peanut Gallery is just fired up after seeing an awesome battle. Not sure what battle they were watching, but Nemona reveals that Penny is actually strong enough to even help train with the best of the Paldea League. Alt once again says he's got next, but the bell rings and that signals the end of the school day. This also means that Dendra's off the clock, so she's peacing out immediately. Talk about relatable. Back aboard the Brave Olivine, the Rising Bull Tacklers are reviewing Penny's research data on Lockweum signs, and they realize that the most recent sighting happens to be located around those ruins they explored with Ryford way back in episode 57. Since they're so close, they decide to go check it out tomorrow. Murdoch says he'll throw together some picnic supplies for them, and cut to the next day as the kids are ready for action. They split up and start looking around for the Lockweum signs, but their search isn't immediately successful. I couldn't help but laugh at some of their searching, like do they really need to agonizingly scan every blade of grass to check if the Lockweum sign is hidden behind each one? Anyways, Liko eventually stumbles upon a random student from the Naranja Academy who's searching for something. Their name is Karato, which is apparently a play on words for spicy food, and they have a Capsicid with them. Their other Pokemon is a Scovillain, but it's been missing since yesterday. Liko agrees to keep an eye out for it, but then she gets a call from Roy saying they should hit the like button and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Caps orders. Okay, Roy actually says that he's over by the watchtower and that everyone should meet up there. They do just that, and it's time for lunch. They put together their best sandwiches, with Liko commenting that Dot wasn't even with them the last time they did this. They reminisce on the time Liko left out a load of sandwich making supplies for Dot to enjoy aboard the airship, and how Dot sent Liko a picture of her enjoying the sandwiches with her Nidothing costume on. Just the thought of Nidothing causes Liko to blush. What a true fan. After the meal has been eaten, they set out to search the nearby ruins, but before they leave, they have this seemingly random but also important piece of dialogue. Dot points out that they are going to have to travel all over the place to accomplish their goals, and they're going to need a ton of money to do that. Roy remembers how Freed and the others used to take a lot of part-time jobs to pay for their travels, and the kids think they may have to start doing the same. That felt kind of like a non sequitur, but it'll make sense in the long run. For now, Sableye comes over to show off a coin it found, which the others quickly recognize as one of Gimmighoul's coins, and how Roy got possessed by one back in the day. Alt makes fun of him for this and wants to hear more, but Roy claims that he wouldn't fall for that trick again. We see the Gimmighoul chest off in the distance watching on, and sure enough, let's cue the montage of everyone finding more coins and falling prey to Gimmighoul. Even Cap, too. Actually, not everyone is caught in Gimmighoul's trap, as we see Liko and her Pokemon continuing to search for the Lockweum sign. Pagago splits off from the group when it sees a familiar looking hole in the wall, and it excitedly walks inside. There's a Charcadet waiting there, and it appears to be the same Charcadet that Pagago befriended back in episode 57. The little Fire Knight gestures to a very scared Bouncebeat and Cricketot and explains to Pagago that there's also a Knackley, Happiny, and Bonsly in this group as well, but they're nowhere to be seen. Back outside, Liko has finally found a Lockweem sign, and I just love Hatchram being like, there it is! Thanks, Hatchram. Liko tries calling everyone immediately, but they're too busy being controlled by Gimmighoul to notice their phones ringing. Great. It doesn't take long for the source of the pink mist to reveal itself, and wouldn't you know it, it's that missing Scovillain going on a rampage. This thing was chasing those other Pokemon that Charcadet is friends with, so Liko protects them and has Hatchram use Heal Pulse on them. This makes it a 1v1 showdown with the Scovillain who's going on the Lockweem frenzy, and Meowscarada is doing her best despite the type disadvantage. Charcadet shows up and sees what's happening here, specifically how Liko is protecting the weak Pokemon. Now our Knight in Shining Armor jumps into action, firing an attack at the Scovillain while riding its noble steed into battle. I love how it rides Pagago like a horse. Liko immediately recognizes this as the Charcadet they met back in the day, and man, I miss Terrapagos. The Scovillain shifts its attention to Charcadet now, who faces its attack head on. Actually, it absorbs the fire-type attack, getting a boost of power from it. Yeah, its ability is Flash Fire, and it unleashes a huge fireball at Scovillain, which knocks it down. Liko doesn't waste this chance and calls for Pagago to transform into its Terrastal form and start sucking up the Lockweem energy. This frees Scovillain from its rampage as Liko promises to return it to its trainer. Charcadet gives an approving nod, having helped Liko save the day. They return the Scovillain back to Karuto, who's happy to have their partner back. Liko asks Karuto if they use a strong sphere, and it turns out that they do. And actually, Karuto has been using one persistently. In other words, they've used the strong sphere on Scovillain a lot, to the point that it actually ran out of energy and they had to send it back to Exceed so it could get recharged. I thought Liko would take this opportunity to spread the word about how Exceed are scumbags and that strong spheres are bad, but instead Karuto gets Kara carried away by talking about their love for Scovillain. Liko is just like, alright, see you never, bye! They meet back up with Charcadet and its friends and thank them for helping out. Liko notices how well Pagago and Charcadet get along, but hey, it's time to get going. Well, except we get a lingering shot of them not wanting to part ways, so I think we all know what's about to happen. Sure enough, Happiny gives Charcadet their approval, and the Fire Kid Pokemon starts motioning towards Liko. She takes this as Charcadet offering to protect her, and it even gets down on a knee like a knight. Well, or like someone proposing, but let's just go with the chivalrous knight for now. Liko takes out a Pokeball, and Charcadet sticks its hand out to trigger it, happily joining Liko's team. I did not expect Liko to catch this thing, but here we are. Liko's party is now 4 members strong. They finally regroup with the others, who are still Gimmighoul coin hunting. Once Liko points out that Gimmighoul is behind this, they snap out of it and Gimmighoul runs away. Later that night, back aboard the Brave Olivine, they review the new data Liko captured and talk about how using strong spheres too much can cause a Pokemon to go on a Lockweem-induced rampage. Hold the phone though, literally, because Ino has just called Dot to talk about something. She wants Dot to come to Levincia and do an IRL meet and greet with fans. Dot doesn't like the sound of that, but realizes that this could be an opportunity for them to raise some funds like they were talking about earlier, so she agrees to it. Liko is fired up at the thought of her favorite streamers meeting fans IRL, and the episode comes to a close as we cut to the hull of the ship. And wait, what's that in the distance? Oh boy, it looks like that Gimmighoul has stowed away on the Brave Olivine. I'm sure this will go well. A lot of different things to talk about with this episode, so where do we begin? To be honest, the Dot vs Penny battle feels kind of like an afterthought now. I mean, Liko catching Charcadet is definitely the headline. But really, most of the episode was dedicated to the search for this Lockweem sign, so this whole episode kind of surprised me. Let's just take it in chronological order to keep things simple. That means we have to start by discussing Dot and Penny's battle, which I've already made quite clear that I was not a fan of it. I certainly didn't expect it to be this instant classic that we'd be talking about for years to come, but I also didn't expect it to just be straight up bad. For starters, Dot didn't even battle like she usually does. I mean, there was no analytical thinking where Dot carefully examines her opponent's tactics and comes up with a counterattack of her own. Nope, no advanced strategy here, and seemingly no common sense either. Like, why wasn't she leveraging the type advantages she had in this matchup? We never saw Tinkatink direct a Steel-type move at Sylveon, and I couldn't believe that Quaxwell's Terra-boosted Liquidation didn't get aimed at Flareon. That just seems stupid to me. I'm not saying Dot had to win this battle for me to like it, but I was just disappointed that Dot battled way worse than she usually does for seemingly no reason. Part of me wonders if this was all just to set up a rematch between the two somewhere down the line. After seeing Roy overcome Nemona in the previous episode, I kinda figured that this would be the last time we see our heroes battling the Naranja Academy characters, but now I'm not so sure. I have long speculated that maybe they'll do a Paldea League arc one day, and it would make sense to build up some matchups if that were to eventually happen. If sometime in the future Dot defeats Penny in a rematch at the Paldea League, then I'll retroactively praise this as a strong narrative decision to have Dot lose here. But even if that does happen, it still doesn't change the fact that this was a bad battle, so that's gonna knock at least a point off this episode's rating. I may as well get to that right now then. So I'm giving this episode a 6 out of 10 rating. I definitely enjoyed the episode, and I guess if I were to show my work on how my calculations landed on a 6, then you could say this episode was probably like a 7 out of 10, but the battle knocked it down to a 6. Let's move on to the parts of the episode I liked, which was basically everything else. I really never thought they would return to these random ruins they visited back in episode 57, so this kind of came out of nowhere to me. Around the same time in the anime, they revealed another long-term writing gem by having the Anything Goes Cafe pay off a joke 37 episodes in the making, so once again the Pokémon Horizons team have shocked me, this time by revisiting a seemingly one-off location almost 50 episodes later. I remember the first time our heroes came here, I was hopeful that maybe someone would catch that Gimmighoul. It didn't happen then, and it didn't happen now, but Gimmighoul stowing away in the airship may be an even better outcome since that promises to lead to a lot of funny moments. Goldengo just seems like one of the most obvious picks for a Pokemon that would get caught by a main character in the anime, and I think the same can be said for Charcadet. I never really matched Charcadet and Liko though, so this once again surprised me. I don't know how many times I've said that in this video, but I bet it's a lot. This is actually the first time that a female main character has officially caught a fire type that isn't a starter Pokemon, so that's a nice little bit of trivia there. And they even added Charcadet to Liko's team in the ending animation, which was a very nice touch. Considering we have only seen Liko, Roy, and Dot go out of their way to catch basically one Pokemon each in the first 100 episodes of this series that isn't their partner Pokemon, it just seems so random to me to have Liko catch Charcadet here. Not only did I think her party was already big enough with Meowscarada, Hattrem, and Pagago, but this capture felt almost tacked on to the end of the episode rather than being the main plot point. The anime doesn't really do this that often anymore, so that's another reason for me to be surprised. Don't mistake my shock for not enjoying this storyline though. I think it's cool that Liko has caught another Pokemon, and I'm looking forward to seeing Charcadet grow with the rest of the squad. The other storyline developments in this episode were notable too, with the discovery that strong spheres can cause Pokemon to go berserk like this being a great example of the type of data the Rising Voltaclers are looking for. And as for the introduction of the plot point about them needing to earn a little extra cash, well, that opens up plenty of narrative possibilities as well. That's going to start as early as next week, well, actually in 2 weeks from now when the new episode airs. For some reason, there's only going to be 2 new episodes of Pokémon Horizons in July, and we just watched one of them. So we're going to have to wait 2 weeks to see what looks like will be a funny episode featuring Ino, Nidothing, Garusha, Zerk, and Onya. In the meantime, since there's no new episode coming this Friday, I'll plan on posting my video ranking all of Ash's Battle Frontier matches then. I've been holding off on that one for a little bit, but this will be perfect timing. Also, I just released another fun video where I ranked the top 10 battles that Ash should have lost, which was a fun collab I did with Luab. Go ahead and check that one out if you haven't already. I'll be putting the link on screen right now. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time.